Hey everybody, it's Kelly and I'm back with another layout, and this is another layout for my pandemic album, and I'm getting close to being done. So I wanted to use some of the chipboard frames that I still had left from one of the pink paisley collections, and that's where that coral colored frame was from. So I'm playing around with that. I'm playing around with some transparencies from crepe paper. Um, so I have this sped up quite a bit because I'm just trying to make this work. And as I'm looking at this now, like this layout right here is fine, but it always felt to me like I was missing a like one of the frames. Like this would have been fine right here, just as it is. I think it looks fine, but that day it didn't look fine to me. And I think part of it is I really, really, really wanted to use those frames from the Pink Fresh Studio A Case of the Blahs chipboard stickers, and that's why I think what was bothering me about that is that I wasn't necessarily using those. I did have some Maggie Holmes frames in there, and I don't any longer. I've taken them out. So the other thing is that gray frame originally had a couple of hearts on it that were kind of like an acidy green, but I didn't want to do that in this particular layout, so I cut them off. I just cut the frame. So the chevron paper that is the background here is from Pink Fresh Studio Let's Stay Home. It's the best place to be paper there. And then the houndstooth paper that I'm using there is the Heidi Swap September Skies paper from the 12 by 12 pad. That's where that's coming from. And I'm just so I've mounted the houndstooth paper in there to kind of give it something to something in those frames. I'm not quite sure what this is all going to look like. And then I have these 2x2 cards. They're from the Pink Fresh Studio A Case of the Blahs. It's the cut apart sheet, and I don't have the name of that anymore because I'd cut these all apart already. I am thinking about using that LE Studio 4x6 card on the top there. Again, I have this really sped up because I played around a lot before the layout ended up the way that it ended up in the end. Lots of playing around. Well, that was kind of a metaphor for what this layout is all about, because this layout is for my COVID album. And I do have a playlist of all those layouts if you want to see it, including a flip through of the final album, because by the time you see this, which will be sometime in September, I finished the album in July. But I didn't, because I record and then schedule stuff to publish, I didn't have, I had quite a while before it ended up, you're seeing some of these videos. Anyway, so now I'm going through my LE Studio die cuts to kind of figure out what other additional things that I might want to put in the center of these frames. So I'm playing around quite a bit with these. So this layout is about the day that the Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down the validity of our stay-at-home order. They did it because they said that the order was too long for the authority that the Department of Health Services Secretary had. So it was struck down more, not that they couldn't do a stay-at-home order in a pandemic, but it was too long and they really needed our state legislature approval before they could do it any longer, would be the best way to describe what happened that day. So anyway, whether you think that's right or wrong, that's what happened. And when that happened, immediately at 5 o'clock that night, Wisconsin opened up with no restrictions at all. was like the Wild West here, guys. So it'll be interesting. I'm doing this voiceover right at the end of July, and you won't see this till September. So it'll be very interesting to see what has happened by the time you see this video, because as I'm doing this voiceover, things are still a little crazy, and actually numbers in lots of states are on the uptick. So it'll be just interesting to see what happens. So I decided on the LE Studio, a couple of things in each of the frames, plus that tab on the top left of the photo there that I used. And all I did was I just took a screenshot of something on my iPad about the decision. And I did that frequently with some things that were newsworthy, or I took a snapshot of my TV screen, those kinds of things, so that I had a photo to talk about what was going on. Just to give you an idea, if you have not completed your pandemic album, and there will be lots of ideas for you in my flip through. I did not record as many of these because I wanted to do it quickly and get it done very quickly so that it was real time. I'm using my Tim Holtz stapler there to get that tab stapled on. So that's why you're not seeing as many of layouts of these. I did a lot of them just on my own. All right, and then I did use an LE Studio alphabet there. It's just a letters and numbers in black. I did add the houndstooth paper at the bottom there, and that's because I thought it needed some grounding. The whole layout needed some grounding. It felt like it was floating, so I found a label, and then that way I can do a little bit of journaling about this. And then I'm adding in some stickers from Amy Tangerine. This is a really old sticker collection. It's probably 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, and there was one in there that said "Let's stay home." Seriously, isn't that crazy? I don't think it had quite the same meaning at that point in time, though. So anyway, so I got that down in that bottom right cluster there. So adding, again, just going through these LE Studio die cuts, and I store mine by color to kind of give me an idea. When I'm looking, I look in color families of cool, warm, or neutrals like this gray black, and there's a little bit of brown in here, more wood grain than anything. Just kind of figuring out pieces to add so that I'm getting layers in the background, I'm getting them in the frames, I'm getting them on top of the frames, on top of the photo. All of that. So again, like I said, if you're looking for some ideas or just want to see some of the videos or what the final album looks like, just go to my COVID-19 pandemic album playlist and you'll find that all there. You'll also find out how I prepped, how I structured my album as I started to make it too. That was the first video I did as well. Okay, getting some of these things down. I'm inking with my Memento Dewdrop and Gray Flannel. If you've watched this channel for a while, you know that's my favorite ink to use for inking, because it's not as dark as a black, but it still gives a nice dark shadow to your work. That's why I use that so much. Okay, so playing around with some more pieces here. That's a little piece from the Pink Fresh Studio Let's Stay Home die cut pack. That's the collection that I used mostly for this. It's not totally pandemic related, but it certainly has plenty of pandemic related pieces to it. And you're not seeing it here, but oh my gosh, the blues in that collection are gorgeous. All right, guys, there is the still shot and a couple of detail shots. Hope you guys are all well, and I will be back with another layout again soon. Bye, everybody.